Sakhoma. And I first and foremost, of course, would like to express my continued appreciation for those who participate in the lessons and questions. It is a powerful thing indeed, and to see so many brothers and sisters supporting the cause of the frequency, it shows that we are actually moving in a positive direction as far as getting our people to understand better things about themselves and the greatness that we can achieve as we once have achieved as a people. Now, for question number 5, I'll just go ahead and jump right into it. I'm addressing, again, the literal misinterpretations of the Bible. And in this question, I address the supposed or so-called New Testament, or as you may recognize as the Septuagint. Now, the New Testament is basically the foundation of Christianity, or as I sometimes say, Christ insanity. Although they do try to take some of the interpolations from the Old Testament to fit it into the New and, use it pretty much as an entire doctrine for Christianity, the New Testament is basically what the Christians adhere to. And the Synoptic Gospels, as you may know, are the first 3 books of the so-called New Testament, which are Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Some erroneously put John into connection with the Synoptics because of the closeness of the stories or the closeness of the messages within the stories. However, John is not usually considered part of the Synoptic Gospels. And Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and even in some of the omitted texts of the accepted Bible, King James and above, some of these omitted texts, such as Barnabas and Thomas, these are all supposed to be eyewitness accounts of the works of Jesus. So that leads me into my question number 5, which is, why did Jesus not write down his own story? I'll repeat that again. Why did Jesus not write down his own story? Now process that for a moment. Because if you are a Christian or even a Muslim, basically what you're saying is that the entire belief of Christianity and its connection to Islam, for instance, what you're saying is that your entire belief is based upon third person, he say, she say, stories from quote unquote supposed eyewitness accounts. Now, to me, trying to see things in a different light, I don't see how that could possibly be a promising foundation and a stable, concrete foundation for an entire belief of a life and an afterlife. You're getting third-party reports about your beloved Savior. Why did your beloved Savior not write down his own accounts? And this has always puzzled me because even though to a lesser degree, when a jury or a list of eyewitness accounts are being chosen for a case in a court of law, they are even investigated for their credibility. Because it is understood that there are people that are going to create stories just to be involved in a situation. So they have to go back and check the possible falsifications of a person's supposed eyewitness account. Now, a lot of times in a case, the one witness that breaks the entire case wide open is the person involved in the event. So this has puzzled me. Why can I not get a story from the person actually involved in the event? And this is not even something as far as robbing a convenience store or a 7-Eleven. We're talking about Jesus. We're talking about the person that people are basing their lives and entire eternal afterlives on. I can't get one single document written and recorded by that person, but instead you are asking me to trust stories that are written supposedly after his death, stories that are supposed to have been written by eyewitness accounts. And In saying this, I'm not trying to sound too facetious, nor am I trying to deliberately be offensive to anyone, but I'm quite sure a man of Jesus' status, being that they called him rabbi in the book, which means teacher, or basically rabbi is synonymous with a highly educated person. So I don't think, even looking at the book literally or symbolically, that Jesus could be considered illiterate or was challenged in writing and did not have the abilities to document and record his own accounts. And I've even had people come to me and say where he was too busy carrying out his mission and working his miracles to have time to document his accounts, which is why John and Thomas and all the rest of it wrote down his accounts for him. And I'm sure many of you have that answer in your mind, or you have that response and rebuttal in your mind, but I'll go ahead and say right now that you have to give me a little bit more than that to convince me of why this man could not document his own accounts, and why the entire faith or the entire belief is just what it is, a belief, because you're basing it off of the, like I said, third person, he say, she say, words over time about what had happened with this particular person. I'm not even going to go into the fact that there's no archaeological evidence about the birth. There's no archaeological evidence about anything from the time of Jesus or he himself, but that's a different lesson and a different question. See, there is a higher overstanding for the concept of Jesus, which is where the Christ part comes into. But again, people that misunderstand and misteach, whether purposely for intent of benefit or unconsciously because they just are ignorant of the subject and the facts of the subject and the history of the book, regardless of the reasoning, people teach these as the definitive words of Christ. People take it a step further in their conflation of Jesus and God and say that these are the definitive words of God. Well, according to your book, all I see are words of Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Thomas, Barnabas, and whomever else that claimed that they saw this man perform these works and miracles and things, and said that they felt the need to document it to pass it on to you. So I ask again, and it's very simple logic. Why did Jesus not write down his own story? And I'll save that for comment, and I look forward to each and all of your views. Sakhoma.